Hey guys, Stefan here with my next PoE video. As I promised, I'm gonna share with you my plans for the actual build that I'll be playing at League Start. We'll go to basically what I did here in PoE Ninjas. I've chosen to do the Assassin cast, Assassin Cyclone, and that was going to do Forbidden Right totems, not forbidden, not the totems, the cast when on critical strike. So that was going to be my final build. I'm going to go over the POBs in just a bit, but what I wanted to find out is, because obviously that's going to be your end game build. It's not going to be the build that you start leveling with. So on day one, you'll be playing something else. So I was looking for ideas on what I can level as. Oops, sorry, that's my cat just trying to get out. Give me 2 seconds, guys. Sorry about the interruption. I'll just leave that in because I can't be bothered editing this bit out. So, as I was saying, I just wanted to find out a few just ideas what I can level as while I'm doing, while I'm doing the campaign, and then maps, and until I farm the items that I needed for the final form of the build. And there was a few options, so I could either do any shadow ascendancy, but I didn't want to have to respec into different ascendancy. Obviously, I would still need to respec some ascendancy points, but my thinking was that if I level as assassin, I would just need to respec the points, and obviously the trick was it will be quite a big respec. That was one of the reasons that I actually wanted to do this build, the final version of the build, because I've always League started as something that didn't have to transition late game, so I thought it would be an interesting challenge to start as something and then transition maybe the same ascendancy or at least the same class into your end game build, that you establish your initial farming strategies and initial bossing, initial bossing phase. So I thought it would be quite cool to do something that it would take a little bit of extra planning of how you're going to level it, how you're going to farm your endgame items, and then once you've acquired all the items, just transition. I thought it would be an interesting exercise to try and understand better the different farming strategies, because that's the cool thing about the Atlas tree that they've introduced a few weeks back. It gives you so much, pardon me, it gives you so much potential to customize what rewards you get out of your mapping, because essentially your first character that you'd use to complete your atlas, that would be your farming character, especially in SSF, because you have to farm any resource that you'd want for either a future build or just for like general juicing. If you want to do that later game, or bossing, you need to farm up the sets. So everything that you want to acquire, if you're looking for some specific items that are either boss only, or you have to farm in a specific specific strategy, either beastcraft, beast hunting, or alpha tempo hunting, or whatever. That's what I enjoy, and that's why I always play SSF, because it just builds up your knowledge of what resources you can farm where. So I think that's a really good starting point if you're a new player and you want to get invested into the game. If you start in SSF, you don't have the option to fix any issues with your build or to acquire items through trade. You can't just open up the website. You have to actually go and, first of all, learn where you need to farm those items, and then plan a farming strategies, see what builds are good for what different types of content. And yeah, that's pretty much why I enjoy SSF, and why when they introduced the Atlas tree, that added such a big layer of additional depth to the game for me, and pretty much reinvigorated my interest, because at that point I had started not losing interest, but being a little bit bored with just the normal grind. But once they introduced the Atlas tree, it just added on another layer that you could play with. So that was really a great point. Although I think they added it in either in the patch where they did so many controversial, balance changes and a lot of. I think did they add tree in 3.15 or 3.16? Can't remember. It might have been the patch after 3.15, so I might be actually wrong on that one. But yeah, it was about the same time. But what I wanted to show you here, guys, is the two different routes that you can use to level. One is a little bit riskier. So this would be Assassin, Winter Orb, plus self-cast Ice Bear, plus some cast on damage with Cold Snap. So once I went to do the POB for this guy, which is, let me show you quickly the POB. Right, so this guy, right, the leveling setup. I'll show you the final version because that build, I think both of the leveling builds that I got, I think the people that play them leveled them to about like, I think the highest one was like 90 something, early 90s. So they were just, both of the builds were probably just like early farming builds for them. They use them to complete their Atlas and just probably they've used the currency that they farm to reroll a different build. So this is exactly what we are looking for. We are just a build to farm the gear for the end game character. So this one, if you look here, and the gear on both of them is pretty bad. It's like literally they probably not day one, but like day 4 or 5 gear, depending how quickly you progress your gear early on. But for me, the gear was pretty unimpressive, and it's something that I know that I can easily get probably by day 3 or 4, depending on RNG again. But I usually tend to play quite a lot the first week, so I get my initial gear progression pretty much set up and wrapped up by the end of the first week. So these guys got effective hit pool of about 45,000, which is okay for a character that you're not planning to take into like bossing or deep end game, or you don't want to juice your maps that much. It's just like a character that you allow you to farm somewhat efficiently, tier 14s, 15s, 16s, complete your Atlas and just do some initial mechanics on the Atlas tree. So the physical max hit is on the low side, but again, with so little gear, I'll go over the gear after that quickly, and you see that the guy doesn't have like high life roll on some of the items. So then the elemental mitigation, again on the low side, but I think given the level of gear he has, that's acceptable. Suppression 42%. With, I think he's getting pretty much most on the tree. I'll have to go over the items, but I think that variation didn't have suppression on the tree. But we'll go over that in a bit. Then really high life. Again, the character is from hardcore SSF, so that's something normal. Over 7k life. Yes, 50. Okay, that's doesn't really help, but it's something. Evade chance 23, physical damage reduction, so low, pretty low evasion and armor, but yeah, I think for that level of like early farming, that character would be good. But the other character that you'll go over, which is Poisonous Concoction, again, he's rolling it as Assassin. So, no, actually the other one, I think, might have been, no, I'm sure that the other one was Assassin as well. But Poisonous Concoction, again, it's a pretty meta skill that I haven't got to play, so yeah, I was open to playing it. I do enjoy learning new play styles, so if I'm choosing between two play styles that I want to league start, I would go for the one that I haven't tried before. And in that case, actually both of them, I've never played this. Oh no, I did do a Winter Orb character, but that was in the league when it was actually originally introduced, which was Synthesis, a highly controversial league that I personally liked, but at that point I didn't really go too far into the end game. I don't think even if I made it to tier 16s at that point, but I did enjoy the mechanic. But anyway, I'm getting carried away. So yeah, that's the first Winter Orb character that if I want to go with this version that I'll be playing in, I've not played in a while, as I said. So that potentially has got, on paper, it's got better mitigation. The other one, those stats are a lot lower, and the increased life was also lower, but I think the Poison Concoction playstyle would carry the build, and I actually think the other build may be easier. Again, I've not really carried either of those playstyles into, high level mapping, so I'm only guessing, but that should be, because the skills that this guy is using, let me just switch the window. So the skill setup that this guy is using is as follows. So Winter Orb, that's probably his mapping setup. Then Ice Spear, increased crit damage, greater multiple. So he's got multiple projectiles, so he may be using that for mapping as well, for clear. I thought at first it would be his bossing setup, but no, he's got GMP. So I'll need to figure, if I go that route, I'll need to figure out how exactly the playstyle works. Okay, he's got Hydrosphere and Hex Touch with Frostbite, so I don't know, he's probably cycling between the two skills, or maybe using Winter Rope for boss and this for clearing. I'll need to obviously figure that out, but let's go to the Poisonous Concoction guy. By the way, I've made a few POBs for each of the leveling paths, and also for the final version. So I'll quickly show you the POBs, and we'll go through the items and how it's gonna level up your tree. So we'll start with the Winter Orb guy. So our leveling, and again, I'll go over, this is like level 70 something. No, probably less. I think that was level 69. And the guy has got, his wand has got, okay, cast speed and spell damage. I think that's the only two relevant stats, so pretty acquirable. If you find something with increased cast speed or spell damage, you can craft the other bit if you've got the free slot on the item. So that's what you'd be looking for early game. Then another weapon, he's got a tower shield, which is just armor based shield, some block, high roll for life, some increased armor with very low roll, and some fire resistance, life gained on block, stun and block recovery, and some crafted lightning resist. Again, something super easy to acquire day one. Crusader helm, okay, except for the life roll, everything else is super mediocre. Then his armor, and I think it's not a corrupted armor. In the other POB, the next POB, the mapping POB, he's got like a corrupted sixling, which was pretty unimpressive. But that one, just 75 life, which is pretty low roll for an armor. Yeah, nothing else to catch your eye. Gloves, high life, some dexterity, because you'd need some dexterity in the build. Armor, that's it, some low resists. Again, pretty much everything has got the same theme. Some good rolls, but pretty low roll, and like 2 or 3 relevant things. So I think that's pretty easy to acquire day one, for sure. So the only thing that remains to be tested in game is how I would like the playstyle. But if I go with that tree. What we're going to do is we actually get to the highest life even at that point. So it's going elemental damage. So we'll. Can I actually see what gems he... No, I wouldn't be able to see his early gems, but you just level with some elemental skill. I think I did do like a very, very early shadow run on hardcore. I just tested Act 1 and I think I was using, it wasn't fire trap, explosive, some sort of fire trap, I forget the name of the skill, and I just used that with a couple of supports and it was really smooth. So I'm sure you can figure out that part, and so this is my plan. Again, this is not a super hand-holdy guide. I'm not gonna tell you what gems you can use through the campaign. I'm sure that if you're interested in like SSF content, you're not someone super new to the game, so you're probably somebody that has been playing for a while and just want to, improve your knowledge of the game and push it a little bit further than you did, your last run or during the last league or whatever. So I'm not going to be hand-holding. I'll be showing once the league starts. I'll be obviously doing, videos on how my day has gone, for like day 1, 2, 3, probably every day during the first week. So I'll go over that once I actually do it, but I'm not going to go into too much detail. I'll just tell roughly what my plan is. So I'm not sure. I probably I've not played the Shadow in a while, so I'm not sure if I'll get all the gems to be able to transition to Winter Orb during the Act 3 in the library quest. If not, I can level with something. Probably, I reckon that actually leveling with traps would be viable even for until the end of Act 5, and then in Act 6 you get the gem vendor. So worst case scenario, you can transition then. So it's pretty straightforward, honestly. Like, it's you go through here, you get the life, you get cast speed, attack speed, dex, intelligence. Everything is useful for you at that point. Again, ailments, elemental damage. That should be really cool early on because it allows you to recover mana on kill, which is huge. And obviously it will be less useful because it's percentage based. So during the earlier levels, you don't have that much mana, but it's still 2% on kill. So that should be useful. Get the life here and then just go straight up, more life. Stats if you need that. Then go to here. If you feel that you're missing damage, you get obviously the damage note. If your damage is still fine at that point, you just go to the life. And you have to go through here anyway. You get the more life, and obviously you're right at that point. So at any point you feel that your damage starts falling off, you just get those points, and then go here, more life, and pretty much the guy is just going for life. So you can be super tanky, and I think until you get to I'm not sure how that build would perform in yellows, because I've not tried it in a very long time, and at the time that I did try it was super overpowered. So, but I reckon that you should be able to, depending again on your skill level and how comfortable you get in your gear, etc., you should be able to get at least to like tier 10s and just farm tier 10s. And remember, we are going to transition to a new build, so at that point, if you manage to get your endgame gear, which I'll tell you exactly what it is, it's only it's one craft basically for your weapon, but it's a three exalt craft, so you need to farm the currency for that as well. So if you think that you definitely won't be able to achieve that in yellow maps, you can try breaking into reds, and if that works, if you get good enough gear, and because there is not a lot of mitigation outside of your really high life, block 26%, no No suppression, low armor, evasion, non-existent pretty much. So I don't know if you'd be, obviously in softcore you can afford to die a few times, but I don't know if it will be just a few times or if you'll be dying all the time. So if you're dying, if you can't manage reds, if you can't really complete your Atlas using that character, you just stop at that point and you farm reds. And at some point, you'd be able to farm the gear for the reroll. But again, if you want something simpler, I would advise you to use the Herald of Agony guide that I was planning to start. So all the stuff relevant to that build, the Herald of Agony build, which is just for that one you don't need to respec. You can just use it to completely fill out your Atlas, probably even do early bosses, although I personally don't have much experience on Herald of Agony. I've done Cirrus when he was in the core game. I think I capped out at tier 7, but that was more to do with my skill level as a player rather than, I'm sure that in the hands of a better player he would have been able to do bosses. If I managed to do a tier 7 Cirrus with that build, I'm sure that you'd be able to do well and at least take it to tier 16 farming, so you can reroll into something else. If you just want to map and if you want to boss, you can, try the build, and I'm sure that you'd have at least some moderate success. If that's, best case scenario, then if it doesn't progress later on, if you can't push it to higher bossing, at least you'll be able to, fund another character that you want to try out. But back to what my plan is. Again, I don't recommend it, especially because it's a plan. It's not something that I've done before. I'm sure that the poison concoction would be good, and even if the reroll, the cast on crit reroll doesn't pan out, because again, that's an archetype I've never done before, and I know that there is some intricacies, but I think I've read upon the build, so I think I've got the idea what I need. So as I understand it, you need the crafts cannot evade, your attacks cannot be evaded, so you don't need to get accuracy, so you don't just have 100% chance to hit, which is the first prerequisite for a cast on crit build. Then you need to get 14% reduction of cooldown recovery. And this, you can get that on your belt. You can get a single 14% mod. I think actually it can go up, but from what I understand, that is the breakpoint you're looking for in this build. So I reckon I'll be able to get the craft. It's I think vegan. No, it's one of the other guys' specific crafts. So all I need to do is unlock that craft and then farm 3 exalts if I'm unlucky. But if I'm lucky, when I unlock the craft, it will be unveiled on a base that I can actually use. So because the only thing that I need on the weapon is just that craft. Ideally, it would be on a base like a dagger base that has got increased critical strike percent implicit. So ideally, if you get it on that saves you, 3 exalt, because you just use that and potentially just put some other mod if there is space. But even if there is no space, even if the craft is the last affix, the last affix, that's fine. But otherwise, if you get it on I'm not sure what weapons it can be unveiled, but let's say if it can be unveiled on 2-handers and you unveil it on a 2-hander, well, you can't use it because you need a 1-handed weapon, preferably a dagger. If not, I'm not sure if you'd be able, if you unveil it on some other 1-handed weapon, I reckon you may be able to. I'm not sure how the crit chance would work out. If not, obviously you'd need to save the 3 exalts and get it on a dagger, on a weapon type that you find desirable. But yeah, even if the Winter Orb thing doesn't pan out or the reroll doesn't pan out, I'll still have the Poison Concoction guy, and I know that it's more it's more tricky, I would say, from what I've heard, to take that built into bossing, but it would at least serve you as a first farming character. And then if that's the case, if I end up with Poison Concoction Assassin and I can't really scale it up further, maybe then I'll reroll the Herotophagy. But I'll reroll it as a Juck if I'm lucky with some item drops. Again, the two variants of the Herotophagy, the Juck variant, which is dependent on some good drops you need to have before you can roll it. Or if you want to do it as a league starter, you can do it as oh my god, Speaking His Heart, I forget the name of the bloody class, as this guy. This guy. Yeah, so yeah, either of those options would be really good. And I can do it as a bosser as my second character if this plan doesn't pan out. So obviously in here, that should be your gear setup that you can go to in your own time. That I would aim to enter maps with. The items we went over, it's pretty much just stuff that you pick up from the floor. Then, no, actually, yeah. And then this is the final version, which I think is 91 or 89, something like that. So this is the point that the guy stopped playing that character, because he got to that point at like week 3 and his character hasn't progressed past that point. So I suppose he just rewrote into something else. He farmed currency and just got whatever he was looking for to reroll the build that he was wanting to play. In here, I think... No, that was for the other guy. Yeah, so that's just like few more levels. You can see how he progressed. I think he only adds on pretty much. What is he adding? He's adding this, so that's okay. Some suppression, some cold damage, crit. Okay, he's going crit. Okay, that's his only crit cluster. Or maybe this. No, that's just cold ailments and more cold damage. And yeah, that's we can see I think he's swapping some skills. I think what is he changing? Actually, the skill set may be the same. Maybe I'm confusing the other POB that I had for the Poison Concoction guy. His items a little bit better, but still nothing great. Spell damage, cold damage to spells, chance to ignite. And cast speed. Okay, that's better obviously than the starting one. Better, just basically getting more stats, but nothing, build changing core. Nothing, no, like, how do I say? Nothing outside of just high life, high armor, high defense, some resistance, maybe some attributes. No relevant enchant. And he's not getting actually much suppression, I think, yeah. Yeah, pretty easy gear to get. You can't really see any, just one geo, no unique flask or anything. What's his suppression? 42%, so, for hardcore, very low. If you're in softcore, that's an added bonus that will prevent you from dying, at least some percent of the time. Again, high life, evasion. Yeah, again, nothing spectacular about the armor and evasion. It's got flask. Yeah, 2 life flasks because you need that if you're. Oh no, that's why he's not playing Poison Concoction. Why does he have 2 life flasks? We need to chill. Gain flash charge. Let's see, to bleeding, instant recovery. Okay, so that's maybe just for more. So he gets one. He presses this one. He gets about 600 life instantly, and then the rest is just topping up. Okay, yeah, I can see the point, but I don't think that I'll be sacrificing a flask for a second flask. So for a second life flask. Then quicksilver, granite. He's even got okay, so maybe he'll need maybe mana will be rough on that build. Okay. The next variant that I'll offer you would be leveling with poisonous concoction. This should be your campaign POB. In here, I think the most important thing is to get is the chance to poison, because you want your poisonous concoction to poison, and bear in mind poison concoction is classed as an attack, so he's got takes these notes, so that's 10, 10, oh no, that's 15, so 25, 20, 30, 40, 50. Then he has 25 from the Herald of Agony. Is it 25? No, 20. So he's got 70. And does he have he must have chance to point. He must have used it at least. No, he doesn't have chance. So he's got what, 70. So he's just said, okay, 70 is enough. If it doesn't feel smooth enough, I would swap in a life tap he must be using, because his doesn't have much mana. This one I'll need to keep. So yeah, I'll probably swap either cruelty or efficacy for chance. So that's 22 more damage over time, plus increased skill effect duration, and this is what. So I think, let's see which one gives him more damage. So this one is 2760. Oh no, we removed it. Cruelty. So 2760, and if you take this one off, 3234. So yeah, so that one is actually more damage. Okay. So you swap this with chance to poison if having it 70% doesn't feel smooth, but if it does, we'll just use more damage supports. So that's basically how you want to be at when you're entering map. Then there is basically, that's his final setup. In here it's the same thing, but he's got some cluster geos. He's got large, 2 mediums, and 2 small. So if you happen to find some geos, you can check out this setup and see how what he has refunded to get points for, because that's like 2 levels, only 2 level difference, and he's got a lot more obviously stuff for. He needs a lot of more points to allocate. Check out skills. It's pretty much, I've never use the skill, but I think from what I can see, it's pretty much figured out. So it's just one way to play it. So you can go through the skills, go through his items. Again, no uniques, but you can see in here. I mean, see effective. The other character had much higher stats here. I think the elemental was higher. And I think that one, well, let me double check. Am I correct, or am I talking shit? Oh, okay, so higher physical hit, higher elemental, but effective hit pool and chaos are, no, actually this one has got more chaos and more physical hit. So yeah, both, okay, so relatively similar. So it depends which the other thing, the winter robe thing, I think is more of a gamble, because I don't know if I would like the playstyle. Wow, this one I've played it till like level 40 or 50, so I know that it's a really easy playstyle, easy to put together, easy to gear. So this one would be more of a, surefire guide to way to level. And then this is the final plan. Once we get I'll show you his, so that's the weapon. Attack speed, obviously, yeah, that's useful as well. And then he's got spell damage and hits can be evaded. Now, the hits can be evaded. You need to have this to reroll. Without this, the build is, I don't think it's going to be playable. Because you're going to be critting, you're going to be hitting, so you're going to be critting all the time. And this is what you rely on. And the gear was, let's see the gear, his kite shield. So he's got all, because he's CI, so it's all ES based except for the shield, which he's got. I think he's gone for the energy shield and armor base because I think they've got higher block percentage, but I may be wrong. It may be just what he found. So yeah, pretty much just general ES gear. Try to get as much ES, which for you translates into more effective life. Then for the hubris circlet, he's got +1 AoE gems, which is obviously for his aura, so they gain a level, and then just more intelligence, because intelligence also translates into ES, so pretty achievable. Again, I think it will be an interesting build because it is more complicated than what I usually go for. But I think from what I see, you can go through the gear individually. There's no point for me just to read it out. Okay, he's got a shaper belt, but what? Okay, yeah. So he needs the shaper belt for, I think, the cooldown recovery is a shaper related stat. So maybe if it's not, then I don't need the belt to be shaper, but I think it is. You can check this out on, obviously, PoE Craft, which is also a very useful site that I would recommend that you use if you don't already. So yeah, these are the two key items, the weapon and the belt. I'm not sure if you can get cooldown recovery on other pieces. Probably you could, but I'm not sure exactly what they are. He's got a small, a large cluster, another small, so 6% maximum energy shield. I think you do need the reservation efficiency cluster, because otherwise, I think without it, I think he'll not have enough mana. Let's see. Yeah, okay, so yeah, you're just under 100%. So yeah, you definitely want that. You need that to reroll, or you just have to sacrifice discipline and have less. How much less ES shield would he have if he didn't have discipline? Let's see. So he's got 9300. Okay, so it's still manageable. I mean, it's still 8k, yes. So yeah, so it's not a core requirement. You can roll without that. Yeah, definitely. It just makes you more tanky once you acquire that, because you can fit the aura. So yeah, I'm actually really excited to play that build. I know that Sanctum did video last week or a couple weeks ago, but I think he wrote it as an occultist, if I'm not mistaken. He did Cyclone cast on crit, Righteous Fire, Forbidden Right totems. Apologies, the word just jumped out of my brain. And he really liked the build, and I've been wanting to do some sort of Forbidden Right since it was introduced in the game. The meta was first to do as totems, but now we've lost the Chio for the totems. So, and I don't know, I came across that build pretty much by accident. I'll see how effective it is, but it is rolled in hardcore solo self-found. The character was level 97, so I think it will be at least playable as a starter. And it should give me a chance to try out the playstyle. So I'm going to include all the POB, so this one, the final version, and obviously the POBs for the the winter robe variant that we would use to level, or if you want to use the poison concoction, we would have that one as well. This one is a little bit more detailed because that guy had he leveled over more days, and obviously this guy, that was his day one, and then day two, and then he pretty much didn't. Oh no, that was like his day, like week two. But I think he just did it in like two leveling sessions, so he only had those two saves of his POB. So this one will be a little bit more clear in terms of. Oh no, that one. No. I'm talking crap. This one just has, the third one is just the cluster juice. Yeah, so that's pretty much the same level of progression. You see how your character should be at the end of campaign, and then the next one is generally at the point where you're entering red maps, and either try to progress further in the atlas and complete it, or just continue farming tier 10s and building up your pool for whenever you decide to break into reds. I'll include all the POBs in the description of the video, and I'm also going to do another video after I finish that one, which will go over doing leveling filters and endgame filters for the 3 builds. Well, I'm not sure. I'll probably not do one for the final version because, oh no, I'll need to have one because I'll need to farm the gear, obviously the ES gear. But that can be, because when I transition into that, I'll just have a much stricter filter just to farm currency. So yeah, I'll make one leveling filter that can. I mean, when I say leveling, I'll try to make it comprehensive, so depending on what level you are, it will show you the relevant amount of stuff. And once you get into maps, until at least you craft your initial gear, it will still serve you well. And then obviously you can edit, because I'll use filter blades for the filters. I'll include the link, so once you subscribe, once you download the filter, I'll go over that. If you don't know how to do it, I'll show you how to do it in the video as well. So we have one for the winter orb guy, one for the poisonous concoction guy. So for this one, that's pretty much it. I just wanted to plug in those POBs, just go very, very quickly over what the progression would be, you know, in terms of the leveling the tree and the items. You can go through all the details on your own. So if you just want to use something as an inspiration, if you're not decided on the build, check this out. Once the league drops, I'll do daily reviews of how my leveling and early mapping is going. I'll do, like, you know, end of day 1, end of day 2, etc. updates. I'll be, because I know that most of my videos so far just POBs and me rambling. So once obviously we get the league start, I'll include some mapping footage. As soon as, you know, I start doing some early bosses, I'll be including that, going over what my gear at the time of doing the bosses, and, you know, just going over the gameplay. So hopefully once the league starts, the channel will become a little bit more visual. There will be a little more, some gameplay, should I say, because I've not included any gameplay so far. But yeah, so far it's just the POBs. I'll do the video for the filters, and then I'm probably gonna do one more video, which I've not exactly decided to what it will be. I may go over some old characters of mine. I may go over some teasers and whatever, you know, snippets of the upcoming league GGG drop on us. Or I may just go over what resources and what YouTube creators I like to check out, and, you know, where do I find content that increases my knowledge of the game, or some content obviously specialized in bringing up, you know, any news about the game around league starts, because that's one thing I've noticed. If you want to keep, abreast of the game, what's happening, what new uniques are coming in, what new gems. You have to check so many websites. You have to go on Twitter, check out GDD's Twitter feed, go onto the website, go to the patch notes section, go to the announcement section. Whereas some content creators just bring up, like a comprehensive video of what new is happening. So that's a pretty cool way to keep abreast without having to spend like multiple hours trying to research this stuff yourself. So I think that's a pretty cool tip. If you want to increase your knowledge of the game, find some content creators that you want to follow, and obviously be selective. Find people that specialize in the type of content that you want to consume, because that's a mistake I made before. I would subscribe to like literally probably at some point hundreds of different YouTube channels, but a lot of them I realized that they did content that just wasn't, I don't want to say that the level of the content was low. Not at all. Actually, in some cases it was, really high production value content, but it just covered aspects of the game that I personally was not interested in. So find something that is attuned to your play style or what you find enjoy about the game, and find somebody that can give you a good roundup of like news, reviews, and what's current in the PoE community. I think that's pretty cool, because Reddit at this point is like an absolute cesspool. So I pretty much don't go there, or if I go there, I just scroll and find if there is like some new tool that has come out, put together by somebody that plays the game, because there have been quite a few good finds for tools that you can use to improve your quality of life, for Path of Exile gameplay. So that is useful. But yeah, this is going to be my last tip for the video. I'll wrap it up because I've been rambling again, and I'll get to making the video for making the loot filters. Hopefully both of them would be uploaded at some point today or tomorrow, and then by Thursday night, or worst case scenario Friday afternoon, I'll be putting out another video, which probably actually I know what to do, because I've not actually done a video on the Atlas, because the new Atlas has not yet been revealed to us, or at least as far as I know it hasn't been revealed, and I know that there will be some changes. So I'll wait until the new Atlas is revealed, and then I'll do an Atlas passive tree video of how I want to progress my league start. Alright guys, thanks very much for stopping by, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care, bye bye.